I found the listing online. Cheap rent, fully furnished, and close to work. It almost seemed too good to be true. The landlord, Mr. Thompson, was an older man who barely looked at me as I signed the lease. "It's a quiet place," he said. "Not many tenants. You'll like it." I moved in on a Friday. The apartment was small but cozy. 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, and a living room with an outdated TV. By Saturday morning, I'd already met her. Her name was Emily. She was sitting on the couch when I woke up, sipping coffee and flipping through a magazine. "Morning," she said, smiling. "You must be the new tenant." She seemed nice, friendly, but not overbearing. We talked a little, nothing too personal. She told me she'd been living there a while and that the landlord rarely checked in. We fell into an easy routine. Coffee in the mornings, TV in the evenings. It felt like I had lucked out with a great roommate until I mentioned her to the landlord. It was a week later. He had stopped by to drop off some paperwork and asked if everything was all right. I casually brought her up, saying how nice it was to have a good roommate. He frowned. "You're the only one on the lease." I let out a small laugh. "Yeah, but Emily's been here for a while, right?" His face didn't change. "No one's lived there for months." A cold, creeping feeling spread through my chest. "That's not possible. I talk to her every day." He gave me a strange look. "Are you sure?" I almost asked him to come inside, to see for himself. But when I turned toward the apartment, the blinds were shut. The living room light was off. I suddenly felt foolish. "Never mind," I muttered. "I must have misunderstood." He nodded slowly, then left. I locked the door behind him and turned to the couch. Emily wasn't there, but her coffee cup was. Half full, steam still rising. I spent the rest of the afternoon convincing myself that I wasn't crazy. There had to be an explanation. Maybe she wasn't on the lease but still lived here. Maybe she was a former tenant who never really left. Or maybe Mr. Thompson was just forgetful. That night, I sat on the couch, waiting for her to come back. The apartment was silent, the air thick with something I couldn't quite name. I checked my phone, scrolling mindlessly, trying to distract myself. Then the bathroom door creaked open. I jumped. Emily stepped out, rubbing her hands on a towel. "You okay?" she asked. I hesitated. "Where were you earlier?" She frowned. "What do you mean?" I swallowed hard. "When the landlord came by? You weren't here." She tilted her head. "I was in my room." Her room, the second bedroom. I had never gone in there. Something about it felt off, like it wasn't really meant to be mine. "Look," she said, sitting next to me. "I know this place is a little weird, but you'll get used to it." "Used to what?" She smiled, but there was something hollow about it. Sharing. A shiver ran down my spine. I tried to shake it off, but when I glanced down at the coffee table, her cup was gone. I never saw her move it. I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at my ceiling, listening. The apartment was too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Then, a soft knock. I sat up, heart pounding. It came from the second bedroom. I wasn't going to answer it, but my feet moved before I could stop them. I crossed the hall and pressed my ear to the door. Silence. I knocked once. "Emily?" Nothing. I turned the knob. The door swung open. The room was empty. No bed, no furniture. Just a bare mattress on the floor, covered in dust. The air was thick, stale, like no one had stepped inside for years. I backed away slowly. But as I did, I caught something in the corner of my eye. A coffee cup, sitting in the middle of the floor. Emily's coffee cup. Then, the door slammed shut, and behind me, someone whispered my name. I spun around so fast I nearly tripped over my own feet. My back hit the door as I pressed myself against it, heart hammering against my ribs. The room was empty, but I wasn't alone. I could feel it, something just beyond my line of sight. The air was thick, heavy with a presence I couldn't explain. My breathing came fast and shallow as I reached for the doorknob behind me. My fingers fumbled, slipping against the cold metal. Then, the whisper came again, right next to my ear. "Why did you open the door?" I shoved my way out of the room, slamming the door behind me. My hands trembled as I locked it, as if that could somehow keep whatever was inside from getting out. I stumbled back into the living room, gasping for air. My gaze landed on the couch, on the spot where Emily always sat. It was empty now, but the impression of her body was still there, like someone had been sitting only moments ago. I turned on every light in the apartment. Then, I did the one thing I had been avoiding since the landlord's visit. I grabbed my phone and started searching. There wasn't much. The apartment kaput